If you have ever tried to buy chastity.com but seen that it's taken and wondered who the hell owns chastity.com, that would be the man whose video we're reacting to today, in which Jason Evert tries to give us a third option to homosexuality. Let's jump in.
Well, I think the world will tell you when it comes to homosexuality, you only got two options.
I doubt it, but let's hear it out.
You can hide in the closet out of fear that if anyone knew you felt that way, they would hate you and be bigoted against you.
And try to take your civil rights away.
Come out of the closet, embrace your sexual attractions as your identity, forget about God, the church, and the Bible, and do whatever you want with your body.
Based. I'll take that option. What's the bad option that he's gonna present? Oh, that was supposed to be the bad option.
Those are your options. Gay pride or gay shame.
I like how they're trying to use gay pride as a pejorative here. But on a serious note, the Catholic Church is the one holding up this false dichotomy. There's a plethora of ways to be queer, much to conservative chagrin. You can pick your labels, explore your identity. You can be gay however you want.
Imagine you feel kind of stuck in the middle here.
Now you see who this video is really aimed at. This video isn't for queer people living happy, healthy, fulfilled lives. This isn't for straight Catholics in the pews. Who he's talking to here is closeted, emotionally stunted Catholics who feel unsafe in their own skin because they experience same-sex attraction.
I don't really want to reject God, but I mean, gay shame? Is that my only option?
The majority of traditional Catholics will not accept you and will hate you.
You don't choose your attractions, just your behavior.
Let's bring up Catholic Translate. But what they're really saying here is that you can never go on a date, hold hands, get married, be in a relationship, have kids with somebody who you're attracted to.
If you believe in traditional marriage, you're a hateful, homophobic bigot. But is this the case?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well, you're wrong. If bigoted means anything, I think we can agree that bigoted means standing against people's civil rights. Every queer person supports traditional marriage, meaning that they believe Jason should be able to get married. But Jason and traditional Catholics say that the other group shouldn't be able to get married and wants to take away people's civil rights. And so if bigot means anything, Jason, you're absolutely a bigot.
Not long ago, I went to a store to buy a frame.
I'll take stories that didn't happen for 500.
And I put the big painting down on the desk and the framer came out and he said, I used to be a Catholic boy, but church doesn't want me anymore.
They want you just to stop being gay.
I said, well, what do you mean the church doesn't want you? And he opened his heart up to me about homosexuality.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the guy didn't say, hey, can I open my heart up to you about homosexuality? What the guy probably just said is gay, but Jason literally cannot bring himself to respect people's self-reported identities. He has to say, struggle with homosexuality. The same way that somebody would say that they opened their heart about alcoholism.
The church wants you. This is your home. God loves you. I love you.
This is just some good old-fashioned love bombing.
And he said, can I hug you?
I want my 500 points right now.
And I think that he was so touched because he knew I loved him. And I loved him enough to tell him the truth, that your sexual attractions are not your identity.
How would they not be? You and I date different genders. We go about living our lives in very different ways. Like I said in my last video, all the church is doing is taking the same harmful teachings about what to do with your sexuality and rephrasing it in a little bit of a nicer light.
If I define myself by my sexual attractions, I don't know, my life's gonna get real confusing real fast.
Is Jason gonna admit to not being straight? No.
If I'm attracted to a woman who's not my wife, is that my identity?
Nope, you're still straight.
If I drive by a pornographic billboard and I think she's pretty, is that my identity?
No, you're still straight.
The world is telling us that, if you experience this feeling, that's who you are.
You are shadowboxing straw men here and saying that you're winning. The queer community is the one that's saying that you are not just your identity. You can live a perfectly normal life, exploring your identity, dating whoever you want. The church is the one saying that your experience limits and drastically changes how you go about living your life.
What the church affirms is that a person is a rational being. And what that means is there's really only three kinds of persons. There's divine persons.
I'm gonna stop the unverifiable ranting right there. Notice that we can never have a productive conversation about homosexuality without bringing in religion. He offers no arguments against homosexuality that don't already grant that the Catholic Church is the one true church that if you disagree with, you're gonna burn in hell for forever.
If you're a human who has homosexual attractions, do you know what kind of person you are?
Gay. Next question.
You're a son of God or you're a daughter of God.
Or a baby of God, or a child of Thor, or a daughter of Allah, or offspring of Krishna. We can play word games all you want, Jason. And pro tip, if somebody ever says you are beloved daughter or son of the Father, they're about to say the most vile directly afterwards, then think that they're doing you a favor.
I basically either have to obey the church and live a life of loneliness and desolation.
That is what all of the scientific literature shows.
Or disregard the church and face damnation. Are these my only two options?
No, according to actual science, you can live a happy, healthy, perfectly fulfilled life as a queer person and date whichever gender you prefer.
The church is not telling anybody that they can't love.
No, it definitely is.
I would argue that the Catholic Church is just about one of the only institutions on earth that's actually challenging us all to truly love.
Ironic. Jason is providing a quote from a man who systematically covered up the abuse of children, and also somebody who's never been married before, to tell you what love really means. And here's the entire debate on homosexuality in a nutshell. One side's using science and logic and common sense and law to talk about what does it mean for somebody to live a good life, versus on the religious side, what we're doing is taking the goalposts of what it means for somebody's true good to not be anything verifiable or anything we can investigate, and instead have it be these vague standards that are only intelligible if you already grant that Catholicism is the one true church.
Our world is so hyper-sexualized. I mean, think about it. You turn on the TV, every product, every car, every piece of gum, this deodorant, everything becomes sexualized.
I just crossed off my everything is sexualized these days space on my bingo card of Catholic talking points to bring up when we talk about homosexuality.
I was at a store and I saw a magazine there. It was like a craftsmanship, woodworking magazine for carpentry, and it said on the cover that inside were the blueprints for sexy shutters. And I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, is this what we've come to, sexy shutters?
This is what we're yapping about, Jason? You got so triggered by goddamn blinds that you brought this into your epic takedown of the gay agenda, whatever that is?
You might not have heard this before, but you're supposed to be attracted to members of the same sex. You heard that correctly, because God made them very good.
He did make many, many well-endowed twinks. Thank you, Father God.
I knew a guy who lived a very actively promiscuous gay lifestyle.
Holy shit, I'm gonna risk everything on today's Daily Double.
He said, I realized I wasn't homosexual.
He's bisexual, pansexual, transgender?
He said, I realized I was homo-emotional.
Guess I get my points for my Daily Double.
I was longing for the attention, the approval, the affection, and the admiration of another man, which I never received from my own father.
And now I can cross off being gay as just having daddy issues on my bingo card. Once again, no science supports this hypothesis.
I'm not saying from this that nobody has sexual attractions for members of the same sex.
Then why do you bring this story up? You can't just bring this up and then say, well, I'm not actually saying what the entire point of this story is. The entire point of the story is that maybe you're not actually gay. Maybe you just have daddy issues. That's exactly what you're saying, and then saying you're not saying what you're actually saying. Let's talk about marriage equality now.
Well, I think the problem with marriage equality is that
marriage is a legal institution. We shouldn't use the Bible as a legal document.
That slogan might fit well on a bumper sticker, but it really doesn't say anything.
Marriage means marriage, and equality means equality for gay people. So what that means, Jason, is that gay people want to be able to get married. We have to understand that Jason's no longer talking about the church's teaching. What he's talking about is taking away millions of people's civil rights to get married. Here's the legal rights that marriage confers, because marriage is a legal institution. So every time Jason's about to ask a dumb rhetorical question, let's compare it to our list of rights that marriage entails.
If I wanted to marry 2 women, are you in favor of marriage equality for us?
Run the list of rights. Gay marriage doesn't have to change any of those rights on the list, and it's super simple, versus I'm open to the idea of multi-person marriages from a legal institution, but we'd have to radically rethink everything.
We want to have a marriage that's open. Do you think that's a marriage?
Yo, does sleeping with other people affect any of the rights on our list? Nope, so I think people in open relationships should still be able to have all of those legal rights.
Well, let's say I'll be faithful, but we don't want it to be permanent. Instead of, entering into wedlock, we're gonna have kind of wed lease.
Does that affect anything on our list? Yep, we'd have to rethink most of those rights to have wed lease, but gay marriage doesn't actually affect anything on that list.
Well, I saw a woman on the news recently who married herself. Is that a real marriage?
You gotta be kidding me, Jason. Your kids need to take away your Facebook account. Nobody who marries themselves is talking about any of the rights on our list.
Is it simply a human institution ratified by the government?
Yes.
Or is marriage from God the Father?
Nope, try arguing that one in court.
It should be free, total, faithful, and fruitful.
Nope, those are not conditions in any state to get married.
2 people of the same sex could be faithful to one another, but the question is, can their bodies totally give themselves to the other?
If gay sex is enough to send me to hell, I think it's good enough to consummate a marriage.
When you love someone, you have to speak the truth to them.
But it doesn't give you a right to disrespect their boundaries.
The Catholic Church has canonized people as saints who've been from all walks of life.
He's doing the I can't wait until self-hating gay becomes a saint of the church to be used as a model for other self-hating gays in the future.
And I look forward to the day in the Catholic Church where there are canonized saints who experienced homosexual attractions and chose to glorify God with their bodies.
But not gay people who are genuinely good people.
In those moments of your life when you sometimes don't accept yourself and you don't feel accepted by others,
leave the hateful institution telling you those things and find a licensed therapist.
know that God is always the one who accepts you.
And will burn you in a lake of fire for billions of years.
Because I'm sick and tired of the media telling us that we all hate each other.
Then stop hating and trying to take away people's civil rights, Jason.
Because that's not true.
It is.
We love you and we need you in our lives as well, and the church is your home.
It's a home with a hateful, psychopathic father that if you break his unscientific rules, you will have your flesh burned off for billions of years on end. I've listened and read hundreds of hours worth of Jason's content, and he's one of the first people that started bringing me into the church because I was young, gay, and naive and didn't know what to do inside of the church. Followed his logic, went to mass every day, prayed the rosary every day, was on track to become a monk, until I actually started looking into his arguments, looking beyond the flowery words and the euphemisms. Is there a single shred of evidence to back it up? No, there's not. And since deconstructing and leaving the faith, I've never been happier. I'm in a great relationship, I'm living a great life, and if you want to tell me that I'm going to go to hell, there's no way that you can actually prove that to me, so I'm just going to ignore you. But on a serious note, I'll be releasing a long lecture of why I think the Catholic Church has absolutely no proof for its position on homosexuality if you want a longer, drier lecture. And like always, remember to gay the pray away.